talk about it. Tell me all about it. I'm here. I wanna know what's on your mind. Ooh, the world needs to hear from you, and I'm so glad to have a conversation to reach the nation. And it's all about you. We'll help each other to discover innovative ways to positively change the world. Let's talk about. Let's talk about. Yeah. Let's talk about conversations with Nicole.
Greetings. Welcome to Conversations with Nicole. I am Nicole Everett, your host. And Conversations with Nicole is a talk show based in Tallahassee, Florida, focused on connecting the community through conversations. And today is what I call Wellness Wednesday, which is an opportunity for you, me, and my guests to talk about whatever it is we want to talk about. And today we are talking about financial social work. I know you may be wondering, financial social work, what is that? Well, we're about to get into it. So my special guest is Miss Beneisha Hires, who is a clinician here in Tallahassee, Florida, who is no stranger to Conversations with Nicole. She came on back in June and helped kick off Men's Health Month. And so I'm going to introduce her in just a little bit. But before I do, I want to hear from you. Where are you tuning in from? We are live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on the Greater Works Network, back on the Greater Works Network on Roku TV. So we are excited and delighted to be here with you tonight. If you will, let us know. Put the city and state that you are tuning in from so we can give you a shout out. I already see a few folks in the chat. My mom down in Miami. Thank you for being here, Mama. I appreciate you. And yes, Johnny Johnson, we got a new, hairdo. Listen, new hairdo, right? I normally get my hair in some type of quote unquote protective style during the summer. So it's a little late in the season, but never too late. So here we are doing it. I think we calling her Gina. Yeah, that's what we call her, Gina. So say hey to Gina, y'all. Say hey, Gina, in the comments. All right, my buddy, my partner, my brother, my friend, Gerald Tooks is here in Tallahassee. Thank you for being here and commenting and getting us all squared away on Roku tonight. I really appreciate you. So tag a friend, let them know they need to be on here because this is going to be a great conversation. I will give you just a little bit of a spoiler on our topic. When we talk about financial social work, we're talking about money stories, money scripts, your thoughts, your attitudes about money, and the impact that it has on your spending, your savings, and everything around money. I see a few more folks joining us. Mr. Nick Rains, my Singles Mingle co-host. Thank you for being here. And we have Dee Dee Eubanks in Palaca, Florida. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. All right. So I am going to read Beneisha's bio. Beneisha Hires is a licensed clinical social worker, certified financial social worker, and qualified supervisor for registered clinical social work interns. She also added EDMR, and I may have said that wrong, but she's going to tell us about it in a little bit, to her resume recently. She received her undergraduate and graduate degrees in social work from the University of South Florida in Tampa, Florida. She has been working in the field of mental health since 2014. She has experience providing risk assessments and crisis intervention, biopsychosocial assessments, individual and group counseling, discharge planning, care coordination, and mental health and substance abuse treatment. She has worked in various settings, including community mental health, the public school system, the criminal justice system, collegiate institutions, and inpatient psychiatric facilities. And in her free time, she enjoys spending time with family and friends, engaging in outdoor activities, reading, cooking, exercising, and relaxing on the beach. And we absolutely have that in common. So y'all help me welcome Miss Beneisha Hires.
Hi.
Welcome.
How are you?
Oh,
Thank
well,
you.
you.
I'm doing well.
Good. Good on this Wellness Wednesday. So tell the people who may have not seen you the last time you were here, who is Beneisha Hires? I mean, I talked a little bit about who you are, but and about what you do, but we don't want to know about what you do, but who are you?
Who am I? So first, I'm a mom. Um, I'm a daughter, sister, friend, all of those great things. I consider myself to be an advocate for Black men's mental health. That is a topic that I am very passionate about. Um, I'm very much laid back, easygoing. I enjoy DIY projects in my spare time, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, very good. So tell us a little bit about your practice.
So my practice is called I Matter to Counseling and Consulting Services. Um, Initially, it was Hires Wellness, but after engaging in therapy for myself, being a client of EMDR therapy, um, I revamped or rebranded my practice to I Matter Too, pretty much as a statement of empowerment and a reminder for myself that my thoughts, my feelings, my wants, and my desires are just as important as anyone else's, and really trying to teach that mentality to my clients that I work with.
Yes, love it, love it. I matter too. So sometimes we can forget that, in our desire to maybe be people pleasers or want approval from others, but I matter too. That definitely speaks volumes and resonates with me. So as I often do with clinicians that have private practices, especially in Florida, I ask, are you accepting new clients at this time?
So I am accepting new clients. Spaces are becoming limited,
Okay.
but I am accepting new clients currently.
All right. And do you accept insurance?
So as of right now, I still accept Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Oscar, Optum. Um,
Okay. Okay. All right. Again, ask that because part of the goal, part of the mission, part of why we do what we do is to connect people with clinicians, so that they can get their checkup from the neck up and get the help that they need, get the services that they need. And we are all about trying to eliminate the stigma associated with counseling and therapy. So you all heard it. Ms. Hires is taking clients. So if you like what you hear tonight or are interested in connecting with her, by all means, reach out and we will give her information as we close out the show tonight. But before we get started, of course, I have to read my disclaimer, which states that all topics, past, present, and future, on Conversations with Nicole are for informational purposes only. They are not to be used as a diagnosis for treatment or for an answer to any personal issues related to the topic being discussed before, during, or after the program. All right. So let's talk about this term, financial social work. And I don't know if you all heard in her bio, she is a certified financial social worker. So, what exactly does that mean?
so essentially, being certified as a financial social worker means that I have taken the course and passed the exam through the Center for Financial Social Work to have that certification. Typically, the program it is self-paced, so it can take as long as 6 months or as little as three, depending upon how much time one has to devote to it.
Okay. And do you have to be have like a degree in social work in order to be a financial social worker?
So no, you don't. The founder of Financial Social Work, which is Miss Rita Wolfson, she's a social worker. However, you do not have to have a background in social work. You can have a background in finances, any other form of mental health. It's just I take it labeled as financial social worker,
Mhm.
financial social work because she is a social worker who developed the
Gotcha.
program.
Okay, cool. I see a few more folks that have joined us. My sister Shayla down in South Florida. Thank you for being here. As well as my girlfriend Susan, who is in Hampton, Virginia. Thank you for being here. So, All right. So, in terms of financial social work, I actually did look it up. I googled it, as I often do. Google topics and things that I want to learn about, and it speaks of specifically Wikipedia talked about it being an interactive, introspective approach that helps individuals explore and address their unconscious feelings, thoughts, and attitudes about money. And so I just want to let that resonate, marinate for a moment. An interactive and introspective approach that helps individuals explore and address their unconscious feelings, thoughts, and attitudes about money. And so when I think about money, right, we
Mhm.
need money for everything, a lot of things, not everything, but a lot of things, right?
Mhm.
hmm And so we first learn about money from home, our parents, our guardians, our siblings, our friends, maybe at school, I don't know. And so all of that contributes to our conscious and unconscious thoughts and attitudes about it.
I,
So
mm,
before you say, I'm kind of setting this up. So I want to, and I'm gonna get our viewers involved while you are commenting based on what I'm saying. I want you all to share with us, if you don't mind, in the comments. Again, this is a safe space for us to engage with one another. What's your first recollection or what's your first memory about money? What's your first memory about money? Whether that's you receiving an allowance or you asked somebody for 50 cents to go get an ice cream from the ice cream truck, or you found a dollar on the sidewalk, or the tooth fairy left a dollar or a quarter or something under your pillow. What's your first money memory? In the comments, and make it, we don't want a whole book, but just a quick little blurb or sentence about your first money memory. I see Miss Jeanette has joined us down in Miami Gardens. Thank you for being here. And Shamar Lee Montgomery checking in. Thank you for being here. And Miss Pumpkin here in Tallahassee. Good evening, good people. Thank you for being here, Pumpkin. All right, go ahead, Beneisha.
so I think that's a great question, and essentially the question that you're asking is one of the foundations of
Uh-oh,
Can you
Beneisha.
see me?
Okay,
Can you
there we
see me?
go. All
Okay,
right.
I'm so sorry.
A little technical difficulty there. That's all right. Go ahead.
So essentially, someone's money story is their introduction as well as their history with money.
Mhm.
Um, so, like you said, how were they introduced? Was it allowance? Okay, as Susan mentioned, right? Um, was it, and what does that look like? So, for an example, um, and I'm just gonna do some self disclosure. As
Mhm.
far as my money story, I remember growing up. My grandfather would come and get us the beginning of every month, right? Once he got his check, he paid his bills. He would come get me and my younger sister, and he would take us to the corner store. And he'd be like, "Hey, you can have whatever you want, right?"
Mhm.
So that was my introduction to money in the sense of like it buys you all of the snacks, all of the good things that you want, right?
Mhm.
However, on the other hand, my mom taught me that you pay bills. My first interaction with money with her was her giving us a bill, giving us the amount, and being like, hey, go in here and pay that bill.
Mhm.
Or giving us a grocery list and sending us inside of the store to return with the items that she had put down. And
Nice.
so that money story was one of like, hey, making sure that you are responsible, but also being able to enjoy it. And it plays out in one's life as we continue to grow and have access or interactions with money.
Indeed, agreed. Now I'm trying to think of mine. Probably something similar to yours. I can recall, um, going to like the corner store, especially at my grandmother's house, and getting a nickel to buy like two coconut cookies or something like that. So something along that lines, in terms of, you this will help me acquire these treats, like
Mhm.
something, some candy or some cookies or something like that. So cool. All right, so Brianna Hires is in the house. Thank you for
Hey,
being
Bree.
Thank you for being here. All right, so not too many people have responded. Only Susan said allowance. So I don't know if folks are just feeling shy tonight or what, but it's okay. We're gonna keep it moving. So your first, like you said, your first experience is part of your money story.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, everyone's money story varies, right? So if you were someone who grew up in poverty, right, and your parents were struggling to keep basic utilities running, right, that is, in a sense, an introduction to money. That is a part of your money story. And
Mm-hmm.
so as we get older, someone who grew up in poverty
Uh-oh. I think we are having a little technical difficulty. Let's see. All right, Beneisha looks like she may be frozen. So let me know in the comments if you all can see and hear me. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let me know. If you can, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Okay, there you are. I think you back
okay.
now. All right. I don't know what is going on with the technology tonight, but that's all right. We're gonna work through it. All right, Kiosha is here. Thank you for being here, tuning in from Tallahassee, and she gave me a thumbs up that she could hear me. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna have you repeat what you said, but
Okay.
Dee Dee also responded. Thank you for responding. Birthday cards, yes. Sometimes you get money in your birthday cards, right? And so
Hmm.
that can be an introduction or part of your initial money story. Thank you for sharing that. All right. So you said if you may be in poverty and your parent or guardian may be having issue, um, with paying, taking care of the bills, then that could be part of your money story as well.
Yes. And then as you grow up, um, it may result in an individual being very intentional about making sure that they never have that experience again of
Mm,
going without their basic utilities,
yeah,
or the cycle can be repeated, right? So because mom and dad struggled to keep the utilities on, it wasn't taught the importance, or that individual may not have been able to realize, hey, I need to make different choices, and they may end up perpetuating the cycle.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, but I think we probably don't recognize that
Mhm.
in terms of that those the impact that those experiences have on us, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so again, that is the whole purpose of financial social work, like really having those conversations of being like, hey, how were you? What was your first memory of money, right? And utilizing that information to kind of see, okay, so if, your parents, had a lack of resources, how do you think that affects you in the way that you spend now? So just really conditioning individuals to kind of think about money in a different way,
Mhm.
with the hopes of either making better decisions, so that way they can maintain financial stability and financial health long term.
Nice. So my mom chimed in and said that in her elementary school, they introduced them to saving with their own bank book. She said, I was so happy to see my dime a week grow each time I deposited. Nice. And I'll tell you, I'm gonna put my mom on the spot. She is a really good saver. She really is. And
And
so I think that has to do with,
absolutely, what
hmm
she was taught in elementary school, how she was introduced to money and being able to see your money grow, right?
indeed, indeed. All right. So we talked about some initial experiences that help establish our money story. I think what's also important is to talk about our thoughts about those experiences and maybe our thoughts and feelings about those experiences. You've talked a little bit about it, especially in terms of if certain behaviors from your parents you witness, and you can either go to the extreme of making sure you don't repeat those behaviors, or maybe you can fall into those same behaviors because it was the norm, and that becomes normalized within you. So I think let's kind of talk about, like, if that becomes the norm and normalized with you, how you can break that norm.
So, well, for one, we have to have a willingness and a desire to want to break it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, in doing that, we have to be open to really identifying what negative behaviors or habits we have when it comes to money and being
Yep.
intentional about creating a plan to change it, right?
Mm-hmm.
With anything, when we're trying to create new habits, sometimes we are successful, but sometimes it's a trial and error, right? We have to try different strategies until we identify what it is that works best for us. Um, but in regards to thoughts and feelings about money, of course, we know that it varies, right? So, some people may have the, YOLO, you only live once mentality. So it's like, hey, whenever I get this money, I'm booking a trip, I'm buying a bag, I'm doing whatever it is that is going
Right.
to make me happy because I have worked hard for this money and I should enjoy it because I never know how long I'll be here, right? And I mean, I can understand that within reason, but we can't have a YOLO mentality and the lights are off, right? We can't have a YOLO mentality and be facing eviction, right? And some
Mm-hmm.
people still do that because, again, depending upon their money story, whether they were someone who lived in poverty and it's like, I never got to enjoy the finer things when I was younger, so I'm going to take advantage of it now. Or if that is the lifestyle that they have been conditioned to, if that's the lifestyle that they have been conditioned to, then it's like, hey, this is all that I know, right? And so that thought and feeling could cause, a lot of financial burdens going forward,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be overutilizing our credit cards, not having money in savings for emergencies and trying to figure it out, or going to those payday loan places where by the end of it, you end up paying that loan back 5 times over because the interest rates are so high,
That
right?
part.
Um, and so that can come along with that mentality. Or again, it could be the other end of the spectrum where it's like, hey, I never want to find myself in a position in which I'm not able to take care of my basic needs, right? So we prioritize um, making sure that we pay our bills and that we're financially responsible. And there is nothing wrong with that. However, if the only thing that we focus on is paying bills and we don't allow ourselves the opportunity to kind of enjoy the money that we work for, then
Mm-hmm.
it could cause us to have a negative relationship with money in a sense of, and I just use this as an example and out of humor, right? I'm pretty sure we all have had a job that we just hated, right? It's just like, oh Lord, I'm so tired of coming here, right? But we still continue to go there because it is a means to an end. So can
Mm-hmm.
you imagine going to work every day or 5 days a week, hating your job, and then you don't even get to enjoy the money that you make because we're so fearful, like, hey, if I spend this money on something outside of bills, then something may happen and we not really enjoy it. It can cause a lot of resentment, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so not only am I unhappy at my place of employment where I spend so many hours, right? I'm also taking that home because I can't even enjoy the fruits of my labor, even
Right.
if I have money in savings, right? Even if my bills are all caught up. So it really depends on, like you say, our thoughts and feelings about money, and really trying to find what is that good balance, what is that even medium to where not only are we responsible with our money, but we're able to enjoy it as well.
Indeed. So I was going to suggest that balance is important because, you know, on the YOLO end, that's, that's not going to be good. Yeah, you living for the day, but boy, tomorrow, what you going to do?
Hmm.
And then being so conservative and not enjoying life is going to cause a lot of stress. So we got Antonio who is giving you a shout out and some encouragement. We got Enigma Sep in the house. He said, I can imagine, LOL. And then Miss Javon Mobley has joined us from the Atlanta area. Thank you for being here, my sister. So, all right. So we talking balance, right? Um, how important is budgeting in order to kind of maintain that balance or assist with that balance?
All right. So, and with financial social work, language is huge, right?
Okay.
And so when we hear budget, it sounds so restrictive, right? And
Maybe.
so, well, for some, it sounds very restrictive. It's like, wait, I got a limit on what I can do with my money, right?
Mhm.
So, and this is just an example. We try to change the language to creating a savings and spending plan, right?
Okay. All
So
right.
that way it's like, oh, okay, I'm putting up some for a rainy day, but I'm also able to enjoy it, right? So when it comes to the savings and spending plan, the first thing we do is, or I do, is encourage my clients to spend time with their money. And sometimes this can be very difficult because there usually is like a lot of reluctance.
Mm.
Sometimes clients are resistant because of the feelings of guilt and shame associated with looking at that bank statement and being like, oh, I went to Starbucks or red eye every day this week.
Ah,
And have those, yes, right. I am guilty. And essentially those $5 to $10 a day really adds up, right? Or noticing how we sometimes bring lunch, but we still end up eating out anyway, right? So initially, just spending time with our money and trying to identify what are our spending and
yeah.
savings habits. Do we even have a savings?
Mhm.
Research says that less than 50% of Americans have $1,000 in their savings account.
Mm.
However, I'm sorry.
I'm not look, I'm not gonna ask the viewers that, but I am gonna ask them, if you will, in the comments, let us know if you have a saving and spending plan, not a budget, but a saving and spending plan. So let us know. If you do, thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. I'm gonna let you get back to your thought, but I do see some
Okay.
folks that are in here. Romisha Lee from Montgomery, Alabama. Thank you for being here. E said vending machine at work used to be the devil. Yes, it could eat away at your savings and spending plan.
Mhm.
E, so gotta have some discipline. So Johnny said, hold on. Johnny said, this is the first time that I've heard the term financial social work. I know, Johnny, we trying to turn you on to something new. All right, and we got folks chiming in. Many of them say they have a saving and spending plan. Javon said yes, and budget. All right, Dr. B, yes. Romisha, yes. Okay. Nick said you need to have a plan for lack and a plan for surplus. Your lack plan will not allow you to live or invest when you have surplus. Okay, got it. Good deal. All right, we got Dr. K on. Thank you for being here. And she said a thumbs up. She does have a savings and spending plan. So that's good. I'm glad to see so many of you all do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Um,
Carry on.
oh, so where was I? So yes, with the savings and spending plan, again, spending the time with our money, trying to identify what are our spending habits, right? And
Mhm.
how can we modify them within reason, so that way we can increase our savings. So that way we can, and once we increase our savings, learning how to invest, so that way we can grow the bag versus blow the bag, right? And so we'll start there and then just, slowly start making changes little by little. When it comes to money, I think changing our financial behaviors are one of the most difficult things that an individual can do, right? And
Mhm.
so when we are working on this, I try to be very patient and encourage my clients to be kind to themselves, right? And patient with themselves and using kind language as far as like motivating them, like, hey, we can do it. We're making these financial changes for the sake of long term, so that way we don't have to worry about not having any emergency funds, or that way we can be able to increase our wealth, be able to enjoy life a little bit better without having to worry about how am I going to rob Peter to pay Paul once I return home from whatever vacation or event that we just went on. Also, again, shopping habits, understanding how do we spend when it comes to shopping? Like, are we an emotional spender? Like,
Mhm.
so for an example, we may be an emotional eater. So again, instead of eating those leftovers or cooking that food that we took out, we've had a rough day. So, oh, I'm just going to go to Longhorns, right? And just have
Right.
me a nice steak dinner or whatever that may look like. Or, oh, I'm feeling sad. So let me just go and buy me this purse or perfume or wallet that I've been looking at. And then the next thing you know, in the moment, temporarily, we may feel a little bit better. But when we look at that bank statement, it's like, oh Lord, like I was not supposed to have done that. How am I going to figure this out? Now I'm tight, for the rest until the next payday. And that's 7, 10 days away,
That,
right?
that part.
So again, just really making sure that we spend time with our money. And it can be uncomfortable, but understanding that it is a short-term sacrifice for a long-term reward, because the idea is to create better financial habits.
Indeed. So I'm going to pause you right there. We are a little more than halfway through. So, for those of you who may be just joining us, this is Wellness Wednesday, and we are talking financial social work with my special guest, Beneisha Hires. And boy, we have talked about money stories. Our first money experience, we've talked about, and currently we're talking about savings and spending plans. And many people have expressed that they do. They still are chiming in. Tanisha said, "Yep." Lawrence Bradley. Let's see who else. My mom said, "Yes, she does." And E said he's taking notes. A plan for surplus, writing notes. And he also said he's also writing grow the bag, not blow the bag. I like that too, E. That was I thought that was real good. Javon said budgeting surprised me. Before I changed my diet, I was shocked to find that eating out for me was cheaper than cooking
Hmm.
because I was throwing away food when I was cooking for one. That's different now that I've changed my diet. Hmm. Yeah, but taking that look at it, like really examining it and seeing what adjustments you can make. So that's that whole introspective piece, right? When I talk
Hmm.
about the definition of financial social work being interactive and introspective, which means we got to do something too, right?
Absolutely. And that's also an indication that there is no one size fits all habit, right? So for him, eating out may be a little bit more financially feasible, right? But for, a household of like maybe 4 or 5, it might be better for them to cook the meal. There is no wrong way. It's just a matter of figuring out what's the best route for you
Exactly.
individually.
Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Javon. So Johnny said discipline is the key. Estate sales is his downfall. Listen, you got to know what your kryptonite is. And if it's estate sales, Johnny, maybe you only go to one once a month instead of every weekend. Just a suggestion. Kiosha said, I was surprised when I started to focus on my physical health. It also enhanced my financial health. Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Kiosha. All right. And Lucille Lee is on, said, tell the truth. All right, so this is good. This is good. So we have talked about spending plans and again, it being introspective, it being interactive from the standpoint of you really being honest with yourself when you put that plan together and looking at the things that are, maybe you can do some trimming. Um,
Hmm.
or maybe you can increase some things in terms of maybe setting some things, some funds aside for saving, perhaps, right?
Absolutely.
Mhm. Mhm. Go ahead.
So I mean, the next thing that I was thinking is, again, the purpose of financial social work is combining psychosocial skills, so positive mental health skills with financial knowledge, and I feel like financial literacy is a very popular topic amongst various media platforms. And financial literacy is extremely important, right? Knowing how we earn, save, spend, borrow, all of those things. However, one another essential component to this is our mental health and how
Mm.
our mental health impacts the way that we spend money or impacts the way in which we earn money. So, for an example, if we are struggling with depression and anxiety, sometimes it can hinder our ability to show up for work, right? And so
Mhm.
if we're not showing up for work, then it can negatively affect our finances. And with today's economy, the increase in interest rates and things being a little bit more costly, right? Oftentimes we're unable to afford to miss work because we need to make sure that we are making a certain amount of money to be able to maintain some level of stability. But
Mm.
if our mental health isn't being addressed or taken care of, then it again increases the likelihood that we may not show up at work or we may not perform the way in which we are supposed to, which could jeopardize our employment and further um, negatively impact our financial health, right? And then
Mhm.
also knowing, even if, you know, even if we are what we consider to be functional in the sense of like there are individuals who struggle with mental health related issues, but they're still able to maintain daily responsibilities, such as, you know, going to work and things of that nature.
Mhm.
What about how we allow that to affect our spending, right? So, for an example, again, I, the example that I give is um, impulse spending. So
Mm.
again, having that hard day at work. So it's like, oh, I want to go buy me something nice because I need to feel like, you know, this frustration from the job is worth it. So let me go and get something to be like, oh, I feel better. However, I'm sorry.
Hold on. We call that retail therapy, don't we?
Retail therapy. You're right. So engaging in retail therapy. But that feeling is temporary, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes the aftermath is more detrimental than that brief enjoyment. Again, when we're looking at the credit card bills or our bank statements, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then another aspect of it could be sometimes, you know, I've had clients who have earned a substantial living, right?
Mhm.
However, they lack that companionship that they desire. And so they would utilize their resources to buy things, whether it's material items or going on trips and having experiences to fill this void of loneliness that
Mm.
they may be experiencing. So, again, our mental health does play a huge part and how it is that we um, spend or interact with our money, or if we do it at all. Sometimes we may be ashamed to even look at those statements. And next thing you know, we have negative balances. So when you get paid, you already, you know, are in the negative, plus the bank fees that come along with it, right?
Right.
Which further perpetuates this cycle of financial burdens and not being able to um, really enjoy money in a healthy way because we haven't really taken the time to understand what how our mental health impacts our spending.
Yes. So y'all didn't even know, probably didn't even realize how mental health impacts your finances, but it does. So we got Janae White on here. Thank you for being here, Janae. She said so true. And Latina of She Speaks Solutions says, love me some retail therapy until the bill.
Mhm.
We got Antonio White on here. Thank you for being on here, my brother. He said, Beneisha, hello, friend. I love the idea of having a relationship with your money, savings, investments, and smart spending habits. generational wealth and health can start with the creative use of a dollar.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. Antonio Gray's financial, mental, and physical health all affects each other, and if one suffers, the others will soon follow. Yes, agreed. Dr. B, got to find free, cost-effective coping mechanisms: nature walk, group exercise, herbal bath, argular acupuncture, yoga, martial arts, etc. Love all of those. Yes, 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 yes. He said ignoring bait statements. I remember that life. Yeah, not a good idea. Not a good idea, especially if you are active within that account. Kevin Evans, thank you for being here. He said, not to mention the pressure from society makes us feel like we need things when really it's just a want. Ooh, can we talk about that a little bit, Miss Certified Financial Social Worker? Needs versus wants. Can we dive into that, please?
So, needs versus wants.
Or is there some special language for that?
Listen, I was going to say, I like the term of keeping up with the Jones, right?
Okay, all right.
Where, again, like you said, the pressure from society. And I feel like social media, right, is a large contributor to it, because we have all of these influencers, we have people really only posting the good things, right? Taking trips, making money, starting this business, all of these different things. So it makes us feel like, oh, I need to be doing the same thing. Like I'm not living life right, or I need to live my best life, or I need to show that I'm able to engage in these activities too, right? And sometimes we do feel pressure to keep up with society, even though we are unable to afford to do so, right? And so, with that, again, it comes with setting financial goals. Ultimately, what is the goal, right? Is the goal to be able to have that savings account, also have, you know, money available from your check, so that way you are able to participate in these activities. And then, like I said, when you come home, right, you don't have to rob Peter to pay Paul and make sure that the lights stay on. So there is a lot of pressure from society. And sometimes people are just mean, right? And if you think about it in the sense of like bullying, and bullying is not just limited to children, it is adults too. It shows up in various forms. Sometimes people are made to feel less than if you're not showing that you are able to keep up and maintain a certain lifestyle. And that within itself adds this pressure to be like, hey, I need to spend to show that I'm able to buy the latest Jordans, or I'm able to take this trip to Cancun or wherever everyone else is traveling, or summertime, hey, I'm able to be outside with everyone else, when financially we can't afford to do so, or we are engaging in these activities with our credit card, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I was just looking at an article today, and again, just nerding out a little bit, and it indicated how the US consumer credit card debt has reached $1 trillion. Like it is a record. And I'm like, wait, are we not borderline recession? You know what I'm saying? Like, aren't the interest rates high? Isn't this a time of inflation? But what that says is that it has not stopped people from spending. And again, the credit card debt, now granted, a large portion of that is interest rates and things of that nature. But I feel like a lot of times, because of that societal pressure, we feel like, oh, I need to do this to show that I can keep up. But it is costing you way more. And sometimes it's not even enjoyable or worth it afterwards.
Yeah. I tell you, Beneisha, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like the older I get, the more I recognize that I just don't really need the stuff, because it's
Mm-hmm.
just more to keep up with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for the last few years, my birthdays have been parties with a purpose where, if you want to give me something, donate to my favorite charity, right? And I would much rather spend my money on experiences as opposed to things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they have their place, but I'm just not. so caught up on that like I was at some point, younger points in my life. I see a few more comments from some folks that I want to bring to our attention. Alethea is on. Thank you for being here. She said, I function in my depression daily, but I'm that one who also has purchase anxiety. Retail therapy isn't a thing for me, but I also struggle with doing nice things for myself. So I tend to be frugal. Indeed. So we talked about that balance. I'm not sure if you heard us talk about that a little bit earlier, Alethea, but we got to find that balance between being frugal and between doing things for ourselves.
Mhm.
Hmm. All right. Antonio said that mindset will definitely have you broke and having the whole mouth, as my granddad used to say. Yes, indeed. All right. And we got House of a 10 on. Good evening. Thank you for being here. So, all right. So we talked about keeping up with the Joneses. And listen, don't believe the hype, right? Because while you may see there may be the visual of people living their best lives on social media, you don't know what these people are having to contend with.
Mhm.
The only thing you know about is yourself. So you need to, again, what did we talk about earlier? It was interactive and introspective. So you need to be real interactive and introspective when it comes to your own situation.
Mhm. And
Mm-hmm.
honest with yourself. So
Yeah.
if we are already planning for our next paycheck and how we're going to spend it, it's kind of like, we may want to revamp, right? Especially if it isn't on things such as like, okay, how am I going to utilize my paycheck to make sure that my needs are being met versus, like Kevin mentioned, trying to give into the pressures of society and being like, oh, how can I make sure I get what I want?
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So Alethea came back and said she's struggling with the balance part. So what advice would you give somebody that was struggling with the balance part?
Um, So when struggling with the balance part and considering she said she has like that purchase anxiety where it seems like it's more difficult for her to buy nice things for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Sometimes that could be rooted in self-esteem and self-confidence, right? So
Mm-hmm.
or this negative belief that I'm not deserving or I'm not worthy, right? So even if the money may be there, we may have this lack of like self-worth or confidence in believing like I deserve to have nice things, which again is associated with that mental health. So really addressing what is the root of feeling like I don't deserve to buy myself nice things even if the funds are available, and then
Mm-hmm.
being able to find that balance of okay, how can I slowly and responsibly integrate treating myself right, but while also making sure that I maintain financial health as well.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, indeed. All right, we got a few more comments. Alexis Lee Blackman, absolutely love this discussion. Oh, thank you for being here. My Jack too. I am impulsive. I am frugal until I feel like I'm missing out. Then I impulsively overspend. Ooh.
That's where that spending and savings plan come in at. If you know that that is your behavior, right? How can we create a spending plan where it's like, hey, this is my play money, right? So whenever I have this impulsive urge to spend because I feel like I'm missing out, only spending from that account and having the discipline to be like, hey, if the money is there, great, because we have planned for it, right? But if the money is not there, then let's take a step back and be like, do we really want to do this? How did we feel before when we impulsively overspent? Like, did we feel good about it? Did we find ourselves becoming even more anxious or overwhelmed or depressed or worried as far as like, hey, how does this affect other aspects of my life in which money is involved? So preparing, if we are able to prepare for that, right, then it allows us to have that balance of being able to engage in these activities that we enjoy or not having to worry about feeling as if we are missing out because we have allotted an account or savings for that type of behavior. So again, it's all about knowing ourselves and our financial behaviors.
So we got YOLO and FOMO.
YOLO, yes, YOLO and FOMO. And
Mm,
neither one of them is good. We need to find the middle.
right. Exactly. Janae said, everyone go get a financial social worker in your life.
Yes, we support this because it is very much important. And financial social work is not only good on an individual level, but it's also helpful when it comes to marriages, right? Because we know one of the leading causes of divorce is related to money. And
Mm,
so financial social work allows one to be able to gently ease into the conversation
mm-hmm,
of finances. I remember being in a consultation with a colleague in which they were sharing how the wife wants to talk about money, but the husband wasn't as receptive because, maybe he didn't make as much, or maybe the wife made more, right? And so
mm-hmm,
when we're able to utilize money story, right, and being like, hey, let's just talk about your experience with money. What does that look like? Who's to say that for the husband, he may have grown up where the man in the household was the provider and the woman didn't have to work, right? And so because the wife makes a little bit more, he may be feeling as if he is not fulfilling his roles or duties as a provider, right? Or the woman may be like, hey, I don't really care about the money. You provide me with these mental and emotional needs that supersede the financial aspect, which is why this works, right? So that is how, financial social work and having conversations about money through money story can kind of help when it comes to relationships and finances.
mm-hmm. Very good point. We might have to have you come on Singles Mingle to give some tips while dating as it relates to financial social work and your potential mate or partner.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So, boy, again, we have covered quite a bit. I've been taking some notes, but just kind of a real quick recap. Money story, our first money experiences, savings and spending plan, impulsive spending, YOLO, FOMO, couples, marriage, and financial social work. And so I know there's, much more that we can talk about, but if there were, maybe a quick couple of bullets or things that you see when you are meeting with folks regarding financial social work that, if folks could just kind of get this part, it might help them be successful.
So one of the main things is avoidance isn't going to resolve the problem.
Mm,
Right. And if you are looking at your financial statements on your own, right, a lot of times there are feelings of guilt and shame. And even if no one is around us, we still project it that other people, may be shaming us because we have poor spending habits. It
mm,
does not change the fact that the spending habits are poor and that it will continue to perpetuate the cycle of financial barriers, which also increases negative mental health symptoms. So,
mm,
avoidance, again, it doesn't benefit us in any way, shape, or form. But also being kind to yourself, right? When you know better, you do better. And
mm.
just being realistic about where you are in your journey with your finances. If you have bad credit, it's like, okay, well, what is it that I acknowledging, hey, I got bad credit, and figuring out why is that and how can I make these things different, right? What are some lifestyle changes that I need to make? Do I need to sit out for a year and get my finances together, knowing that I'm making a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain? Right? And what does that look like? What does our spending and savings plan look like? How do we divvy it up? What percentage of our income goes towards maintaining the household? What percentage of our income goes towards saving? What percentage of our income goes towards being able to enjoy our money? So that way, we don't feel resentful when it comes to, having a hard day at work and feeling like, oh, they don't pay me enough. They may pay you enough, but we just mismanaging the resources that are available to us.
Ma'am, I'm about to shout. So what I'm hearing from acknowledge, I heard acknowledge where you are,
Mm-hmm.
which to me equated to do not be in denial about where
Correct.
you are.
Mm-hmm.
And make a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. The list, listen, that needs to be on a index card, a sticky, something. Because people need to be doing that for real.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's good. All right. So Alethea said, yep, this will make a great topic on singles mingle too. And then Antonio said, preach. Yes. Oh, Janae said, spending because you're lonely. She touched on that too. Yes. Okay, y'all got a lot of good stuff tonight here. Y'all got a lot of good stuff. So we are. She already kind of gave the recap right there. I got avoidance isn't going to solve the problem. Be kind to yourself. Acknowledge where you are, and be willing to make short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. All right. Miss Jeanette has a comment. She said research done in 2019 revealed that median household net worth for white families was $189,100, and in black households, 24,100. The wealth gap is real.
It definitely is. And that is even more of a reason for us to spend the time with our money and figure out how can we close that wealth gap. One of the ways, again, is identifying maladaptive spending habits, right? Because
Mhm.
again, if you are able to identify that and increase your savings, right? Then you have opportunities to potentially invest, which could generate passive income, right? That could increase revenue. And that is essentially how you grow the bag, right? But if you continue to avoid your finances, then you will blow it every single time.
And what was that? What was that thing that he said? You said it, but he said he was writing it down. Grow the bag and not
Blow
blow
the bag.
the bag. All right. No, we ain't blowing the bag around here. We growing it. Yes. All right. Alethea said, yes, we need a whole workshop on financial social work. um, let's see, acknowledge where you are and be willing to make short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. Yes, 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 yes. Kiosha, Jeanette, tell us, I wonder how much home ownership plays in this gap. Yeah, I wonder as well. I think that is a major contributing factor, Kiosha, if I had to guess. All right. So, again, I think you gave us a great recap. So I'm going to ask, how can folks connect with you?
So they can connect with me on my social media, IG Beneisha _90, or they can feel free to either email me at info@imatter2cc.com. My website is imatter2cc.com, where you may be able to find other methods of contact.
All right. Very good. So, did you all find this beneficial tonight? Let us know in the comments. I see some folks chiming in. E really like that. Grow the bag. Amen. Yes, that's what we're doing. Growing the bag and not blowing the bag. All right. Susan said, excellent conversation. Thank you, my sister. Appreciate you for your comments. I tell you, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And again, there is more. I really feel like you need to come back for a part two. Because
I
listen,
would
we
love
just
to. It is a
touched
lot.
it is. We only touched the surface, really, to be quite honest with you.
Because
All
we
right.
haven't even touched it like when it is specific to black and brown communities, because that is a whole
Mhm.
nother thing within itself.
Okay. Well, we'll have to make that happen, maybe sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. Cool. All right. So folks are chiming in. Janae said loved it. Lucille Lee, yes. My Jake, yes. Thanks for the invite. Latina, love the topic. Great information. Yes. My mom, very awesome. Thank you, Ma. Vanetta, great conversation. Yes, ready for part two. Love it. Let's see. Alethea's excellent conversation. One for the books, honestly. Thank you, Alethea. Kevin, very beneficial. Thank you, brother. Saluki Lou, thank you for being here, Saluki. Great discussion. Awesome. All right. So, for those of you who are new to the platform, I definitely want to invite you all to subscribe to the Conversations with Nicole YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. We are live on Mondays and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, talking about Mindset Monday, Wellness Wednesday with a variety of hosts, or guests rather. Beneisha, again, we got to have you come back. So I'm gonna try to schedule you like real soon before you get busy doing other
Okay,
stuff. Mhm.
I'd
Yes.
love to.
Y'all, let's keep this conversation going. Tag somebody that you think should have been here for this conversation. Somebody that's living the YOLO life, somebody that's living the FOMO life, somebody that's trying to find some balance and connect with Beneisha. Connect with her. She, like she said, she is taking clients. She is a clinician here in Florida. And so, if you like the things that she was saying, reach out, connect to her. Marva Butler, Miss Marva down in South Florida. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you so much. Antonio, I know a few people that might need your services. Yes, great info and thank you. All right. And Romisha definitely made me think about a lot. Love the conversation. Wonderful. Yes. All right. Good deal. So, y'all, we appreciate your time. Again, Beneisha, thank you so much for your knowledge and expertise. And you gave us some great food for thought.
Thank you so much for having me. It is definitely a pleasure to be able to come on your show and have these conversations because they're very important and very much needed.
Indeed. All right, good people. We will see y'all next time. Oh, and uh for the children that are starting school on tomorrow, here in Tallahassee, and I think in other parts of the state, please have a safe, healthy, um, knowledge filled, and happy school year. Wishing you all the best. Much success. All right. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.